Recognized member from Cowichan Valley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, I wouldn't miss out on an opportunity to talk about the value-added sector in British Columbia. Having been to other jurisdictions in the world like Sweden and seen real effort being put in, not just by the individual entrepreneurs, but government, to add value to their forests. The forests of Scandinavia, I would argue, are dramatically an example of the kind of value added that we could be doing in British Columbia, but sadly, because of the policies of this Liberal government, we're missing out on the opportunity to add more value. So, for example, the pruning, thinning, spacing that the Swedes make a matter of government policy. They have smaller clear cuts, more intensive forestry and silviculture that results in adding value to the forests of that country. It's no doubt when you look at the numbers of the actual timber available in Scandinavia and the value of that timber. And I would, challenge the BC government to take a look at the value per hectare in Scandinavia as compared to British Columbia, and we're nowhere near setting any kind of world standards. We're managing still in the province of British Columbia for volume and not for value, sadly. Recently, I saw some information from the Independent Wood Processors Association, represented by Russ Cameron, and he talked about the absolute carnage that has occurred in the BC value-added and they call themselves the competitive value-added sector because they don't have their own stumpage. They don't have access to timber supply that a lot of the major forest companies have. We've witnessed, as a result of Liberal policy, a kind of corporate concentration that's taken place in the province of British Columbia that does not lead to the opportunities for more value added in the value added sector. The Independent Wood Processors Association reports that since 2002 they've gone from 107 member companies to 54 companies have gone out of business or quit manufacturing in BC. The carnage has been even worse amongst the very small, non-associated wood processors or value-added manufacturers. And I'll just camp there for a minute and talk about one of the companies that I knew in Parksville that made yellow cedar components for Buddhist temples. They had a very small but very high-value product niche that they had available. Problem was not that they couldn't continue to manufacture this high quality product, but the accessibility to timber was basically cut off. The company that they were getting their yellow cedar timber from just turned off the tap and said, we're not going to give it to you anymore. And when we pursued the question of why, we discovered that it was at the wishes of the competition. In countries like Japan that were looking to do their own yellow cedar components or manufacturing. And, I guess you could argue, well, that's competition. The world's a tough place if you're in business and you need to compete. But it is truly a fact that people that have studied these things know the increased value-added opportunities that come from clusters, where you have a primary wood processor and you, as a result of working on clustering, manufacture additional products. I still remember Herb Doman had the philosophy years ago, he merchandised logs. He used to buy other companies' pulp logs and add value by upgrading a portion of that log into saw log grade material. There were companies that right now, Western Forest Products has a value-added operation, and they understand the value of adding kiln, but a lot more could be done. I may have spoken in this House before about the opportunity, Honourable Speaker, in Sweden, there was a company that they'd been there for 3 generations, and that 3rd generation sawmill owner was going to go from an old antiquated mill to a new high-tech link mill. And his belief was we needed to create more value added. We need to do that in British Columbia. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.